What up, nation? Welcome to another edition of the WiseTake MLB DFS Wise Stream. CK013 here. You can find me on Twitter at CK_013. And I, of course, am from the WiseTake Nation, which you can find on all the social media platforms listed above or directly at WiseTake.com. If you're looking to take your DFS game to the next level, we are a premium DFS content provider, as well as a DFS community designed to help make you a better DFS player. Go check us out. If you're new to this channel, welcome. Please subscribe, hit the notifications bell, don't miss out on any of the free content we put out doing the MLB thing Monday through Friday, covering slates Monday through Friday. Starting next week, gonna shift the show to the night before, get it out early, hang out with the late night crew, aka the West Coast crew, right? And do dirties that way, but still gonna be providing this through the MLB season, so make sure you don't miss out. If you're watching this video, man, the likes really help us out. Please hit the like button. Goes a long way, allows us to continue to do the free content, continue to do what we do on a regular. Okay, yesterday's slate. So Tyler Mahle, I got wrong. I just, an opportunity to fade a pitcher like that at like 50, whatever it was, 50% ownership. I didn't want to pass up on it. I went heavy on Ian Anderson, who was fine, but ultimately didn't do as well. So on DraftKings, I had like 20% Mahle. This wasn't enough. I knew I was going underweight, but what we did get right is with a lot of the offenses. So I actually made a little bit of money on DraftKings. Not I'm talking like change, but not bad considering I was way underweight on a pitcher the only pitcher on the slate that did anything worth a damn. And it was because of the Cubs. We talked about Peterson. Wasn't really a believer in him. Made me look bad against the Phillies, but it came back and blah bliggity, with the Cubs offense and couple others that we hit on. Toronto I missed out on a little bit. I should have had a little more Toronto, but it was what it was. Yeah, but all in all, I'll take it. I did lose money on FanDuel. Hard to overcome on FanDuel when you only get one pitcher over there, and the most you could do in a stack is 4. So you miss out on that 5th player if a team like the Cubs does do the dirty. But all in all, I'll take it, man. On a slate where you go underweight on a pitcher that's like the only one on the slate that goes for like 30 DraftKings points and you survive. I mean, it's not bad. We did pretty well in NBA last night too. All in all, I know people probably thought I was crazy putting LeVert and Brogdon and the fucking other kid, the center, but ended up working out. Dirties were done. Didn't smash anything. Paulie got screwed, man. Paulie had I think he was like 7.5 points away from first place, which was like 5 G's in the contest he was in on DraftKings, and he was the only person in the top 10 with Terrence Mann, and Terrence Mann didn't play the 4th at all. It was so crazy, just a weird fucking situation. He was doing well. He got 30-something minutes in. He was smashing, and ended up not playing in the 4th. It's fucking weird shit. But anyway, we'll get into this baseball slate. Hit the like button. Doing fun things at WiseTake. We also talked about we're going to be getting into the Slack. I'd like to try to get the Discord set up. I have a Discord set up. It's just a matter of I'm trying to find a way to merge it with the site. If I can't do that, it's not worth the change. You know what I mean? Because we use Slack right now. So I'm waiting on getting that set up. And, we'll see what happens, man. But we want to put more emphasis in there. We want to be in there more. We're actually going to get rid of the pre-lock live show we do behind the paywall, and instead dedicate that time to be in the Slack and to make sure our written content is updated as much as possible. There's a lot of people who just don't have time to watch a show at that time. So we're making changes, trying to cater to the community, trying to figure out what would help the most of our members, and that's what we do. Today's chalk pitcher probably going to be Walker Buehler, right? Because he's on a tier of his own. Walker Buehler last year, I don't want to say he regressed, but a little bit of a step back, man. I had really high expectations of this dude, and I still think he's good, but I don't think he's. I don't want to piss off my Dodger folk out there, but I don't think he's as good as I thought he was. I'm just gonna say it like that, right? So it's kind of a nice way to put it. Going to the Dodgers here, Walker Buehler 3.38 xFIP, 29.1% K rate. What do we have? This 3.93 xFIP, 28%. So this is a combination. What I just read off to you was from 2019 to 2021, so a little bit of a combination. So far this season, 4.45 xFIP, 17.1% K rate, 9.9% strikeout rate, and he's playing the Padres team. That's tough, man. regardless of what you think. This is a nice rivalry, yada, yada, yada. The Padres are a tough offense. Both these teams are very good. So I expect Walker Buehler's numbers to improve as the season progresses, but do I think it's going to necessarily happen here against the Padres? I don't know. Obviously, your Padres are going to end up being one of the more leveragey stacks on the slate. I know, and we talked about that. Some people don't like that word. Don't give a damn. Just, it's just easier to explain to the people what I mean. And what I mean is, if Walker Buehler is really high owned, that means that the Padres players are really low owned, and there's a lot of really good Padre players, hitters, right? So something to keep an eye on, something to consider. In cash games, I think you just bite the bullet, do the dirty, and play them. But again, man, I got to see some stuff from Mr. Walker Buehler. But, we'll have to make that decision come article time. I'll have to make my decision on which way I'm going. I'm sure if I go heavy on Buehler, I'll definitely have Padre hedge stacks. And if not, I'll still have Padre. So either way, I'll have some Padre stacks just for the sake of low ownership. But Buehler, I do think he's still in a tier of his own. Even compared to the rest of these guys, I do think he's in a tier of his own, to be clear. So Christian Javier, 9-6 on DraftKings, man. That's ballsy. Against the Angels. Big time fly ball guy, as we can see, a 52.2% fly ball rate. Last year, 194 BABIP, extremely low, which is why I think part of the explanation that we see is a 3.48 ERA but a 4.86 xFIP, right? Maybe last year he exceeded expectation. Maybe he performed a little above what he should have. I think those arguments are valid. He's playing an Angels team. They could be tough to strike out. They got some in there. Rengifo. Ohtani does strike out quite a bit. But then you got Fletcher at 12.5, Walsh at 12.5, Pujols 14.6, Iglesias, who is very tough to strike out, I have to admit. So 9-6 for him, I don't know how I feel about that. But if I'm looking to not play as much Buehler, then I gotta be open-minded, right? So ultimately, that could be what leads us to Walker Buehler, and that's kind of what the case was last night. Everybody went down the Tyler Mahle path just because they didn't trust any of the other options, and we're kind of in that situation again tonight. Does it work out again? Do people say, nah, work with Mahle, now I'm going to Buehler, and just expect that to work, right? This is where like the game theory aspect kicks in. But I don't think I have any interest I don't think I have a ton of interest in Javier. A big fly ball guy, I'm interested in Mike Trout. I'm interested in some of these offensive players. No doubt, game is in Houston, like middle of the road in terms of hitter friendliness with the dynamics. Javier, FYI, has struggled more with lefties, no doubt. Our contact rates are significantly higher to lefties. Maybe it's more of an Ohtani day. But that is one thing I think that he kind of has going for him. I don't think the Angels have a ton of lefties, right? They don't have La Stella anymore. Let me see how many lefties they potentially even have. 3 really. Jared Walsh is a good one. Ohtani. So maybe the Angels are more of a team that we look to take some good one-offs of. Maybe. Holla, maybe. I just don't think, like, on FanDuel 7-3, if you want to try Javier, I think it makes a little bit more sense because you're saving a lot of money from Buehler, but you're saving $400 on DraftKings. It just doesn't seem like, I don't know. Trevor Williams, last year, a little on the unlucky side. Not a good pitcher in my eyes with a 4.94 xFIP, 4.84 Sierra, but 6.18 ERA. Maybe he's not that bad, right? Comparable numbers, I would say, to like a Michael Wacha, right? He's playing the Mets, who got shit on last night. My New York Mets got shit on, no doubt about it. Mets offense is good on paper. They started off slow. Both New York teams offensively have started off really slow. The difference is the Mets have been able to squeeze by for the most part with a lot of like 1-run, 2-run type games. Getting what they need, but it really hasn't been the case. In terms of weather, which is always important, in Chicago, we've got 9-mile-an-hour winds blowing out. 9 mile an hour doesn't sound like a lot, but in Wrigley Field, it holds some weight, and I think you're kind of seeing that. You see a massive total. Well, I shouldn't say massive. I'm exaggerating just a little bit when I say the word massive. But a reasonably high total, 9, right? I think it's the second highest on the slate. We do have a 9.5. It's tied for the second highest with the Angels and Astros game. So, maybe I'm not exaggerating that much. I think the Mets offense is definitely in play. I don't think I want too much Trevor Williams. He's not a huge strikeout guy. The Mets can strike out, but it typically requires a guy who's pretty good at getting those. The thing about Williams, he's actually been very reverse splits. Last year, it was extremely reverse splits. 44% hard contact rate to righties compared to 33.7 to lefties. His average hit distance, 221.7 to righties, 147 to lefties. Woba and ISO. Woba 444 to righties, 322 to lefties. ISO 365 to righties, 157 to lefties. So just in general, even his ground ball rate was lower to righties. So we are looking at some of these guys like Pete Alonso, some J.D. Davis action, maybe even some McCann. But at the same time, we're not ignoring these lefties like Francisco Lindor, Brandon Nimmo, who's been playing really well, Dominic Smith. So we'll see. It's interesting to see if a DFS guy, like a true stats guy that follows splits, like to see how they would do as a coach, analytic. I know all these teams are trying to follow analytics, but they follow it in a different way, right? I'd be curious to see, like, okay, Trevor Williams sucks against righties. I'm going to just throw a bunch of righties out there and see if it would backfire. Because the other issue is you also have players. It's not just about the pitcher. It's also, what about the player? Maybe a player doesn't hit righties well. You still throw him out there? You know what I'm saying? So there's a lot of things to consider, but I think the Mets are on the table. Yo, Alex Cobb, man. I don't know what's gotten into Alex Cobb. Look at his numbers last year, right? Screams mediocrity. 4.3 ERA, 4.2 on xFIP, 4.65 Sierra, 16.8% K rate. 54% ground ball is pretty good. It's a good ground ball rate. 40% hard contact rate is high. But this year, man, he's been on another planet. He's been revitalized, revamped, re-good. So far this year, I'm going to tell you this right now, okay? So far this year, he's got a 1.92 xFIP, a 34.7% K rate, a 58.8% ground ball rate, and a 19.1% swinging strike rate. I mean, this dude has been good. I don't know, maybe he's biting on that whole, putting shit on the ball type thing that everybody else is doing. But his first game was against the White Sox. He went 6 innings, 7 Ks. He did give up 3 earned runs. Now, he's given up 3 earned runs in both of his starts. But that was against the White Sox. He got a 15.5. He was 6,200 that day on DraftKings. His next game was against Kansas City. In Kansas City, very good pitching park. He went 5 2/3 on 97 pitches again. 10 Ks. 10 Ks. 1 walk, 3 earned runs, 4 hits. That's it. So I don't know. I mean, it's still early, right? And he played the White Sox, which is a respectable team, but then he played Kansas City in Kansas City. So it's not like, I mean, the Astros are a different team. The Astros have not look good offensively. And then they're they did get Bregman back, but they're still missing Altuve, I think. The problem with the Astros is they really don't strike out a lot. You know what I mean? They really don't strike out a lot. So I'm curious to see which way people go on this. And as of right now, if you were looking to get away from Buehler, I think that Cobb is probably the first candidate I see on DraftKings where I maybe take that shot. Now on FanDuel 8-7, similar situation. Am I saving enough to take that kind of risk against Houston, right? If he was against, a team that struck out a lot, the Royals, whatever, it's one thing. But he's playing Houston. Not that they've been world beaters or anything like that. Their power numbers have been pretty bad, but they are tough to strike out, and strikeouts are king at the end of the day. But on FanDuel, he's 8-7. So now that brings us back into the Christian Javier side, right? It's very possible. This game has a 9 total also, just like the Mets, which is the second highest on the slate. So there's a possible both these pitchers are shit, and these offenses do dirts. But just wanted to point out how well Cobb has been playing. And there's nothing that I see now other than his opponents, I guess you can say, that tells me that it's just like fluky. Like maybe he's doing something different. Maybe he's just doing something different. And does anybody know? If you know in the chat, let me know. Let me know. Solid Pick says Cobb on that Cali now. Yeah, that's true. That's true. Solid Picks also, the Wrigley game is fitness slap. Yeah, I think so. I mean, it did yesterday. That's the only thing, though. After what happened yesterday in bad weather, you feel like a lot of people are going to try to, let's go there. So that's something to be mindful of. In baseball, you're following stats to give you a baseline and to try to make game theory make sense, right? Like, it doesn't always work, obviously, right? Baseball's, come on, like, best hitters in the game are only successful 30% of the time, right? And we consider successful being even a base hit, right? So we want to be mindful of that when trying to predict the sport with so much variance. So game theory is a big part of it, right? There's situations where maybe there's a starting pitcher like Walker Buehler, and like there's no reason to think that he wouldn't be the best option tonight. For some reason, gets his ass kicked. That shit happens all the time. It's why it's important to work in the game theory aspect. But yeah, man, look at his numbers last year. That's what I think he still is. I don't know. Maybe we'll find out today. But this year he's looked different, man. He's looked really good. Nick Pivetta going up against Seattle, I think it is. Yeah, games in Boston though, right? 14-mile-an-hour winds, blowing more third to first than out. 39 degrees is going to be cold, right? Let's look at what Nick Pivetta's done, because last year we knew what he was, right? Very homer prone. just wasn't great. This year, he's been escaping, right? So he's only got a 21.5% K rate, but he does have an 11.2% swinging strike rate, which tells us that maybe that number could be higher. He has a 5.76 xFIP so far this season. He is a reverse splits guy. Kind of always, for the most part, he's been, and a lot of that has to do with his curveball, right? Curveballs are typically more effective to the opposite hand, which is for him when he's throwing to lefties, and to righties, it's just a little different. Yeah, a little different. The thing about Seattle is there are a lot of righties in this lineup. They have some lefties too, but there are a lot of righties, so naturally it kind of lines up that way. We've got 3 lefties probably: Kyle Seager, Taylor Trammell, J.P. Crawford. After that, Mitch Haniger, one of the better hitters, is right-handed. Kyle Lewis, Ty France, if he's in there, Evan White, Dylan Moore. They're not names that are going to strike fear necessarily into your veins, but I don't know. I think Pivetta could be a trendy SP2 option today. I can see people thinking they're being slick. Maybe people just go like a Buehler Cobb because of how well he's done. Maybe that's not the case. But all in all, the Mariners could end up being low owned regardless. Because regardless of how owned Pivetta is, I just don't think on this slate, on any slate really, people are dying to play the Mariners offense. As of right now, Pivetta does look like one of the more interesting options, especially when you consider his price. He's playing Seattle, a weaker offense. Maybe on FanDuel at 8.2, he'll be a little lower on. But on DraftKings at 7.4, on a slate where there's really just one guy that people are going to gravitate to, he could end up standing out a little bit. Now, as far as attacking him, what's so appealing? We talked about the hard contact rate, right? Fly ball rate. These are all factors that lead to a great pitcher to attack, and we've made a lot of money in the past attacking him in the right situation. Is what it is. Ryan Weathers. So, give me a second here. Pull him up real quick. So we don't have any data on last year. He's been pitching out of the bullpen this year, and he's done a pretty good job. So 3 innings against Arizona, 3 Ks, went for 12. He was 12-2 that day. 4 days later, he pitched against San Francisco, 1 inning, 1 K, 1 walk. 3 days later, pitched against Texas, 2 innings. He did give up a home run, but still struck out 3, posting a score of 11.3, right? Against the Dodgers, 3 2/3 innings, 2 walks, 3 strikeouts, 79 pitches. 79 pitches. So maybe they're willing to let him throw a little bit more, right? He was on, 6 days rest? So 80 pitches. He went for 12.5, right? In 3 2/3 innings. I still think he's a little too expensive for my liking, right? Especially, I'm going to take that risk for what? Against the Dodgers? On FanDuel, it's a no, because the quality starter is just, very improbable, right? On DraftKings is where you'd be considering him if you didn't feel comfortable with the other guys. And I still think 7.3 is a little too expensive for a guy that is probably going to be on a pitch count. And if he was against a bad team, maybe we could talk about it. But he's playing the Dodgers. That's just tough, right? That's tough. Padres bullpen pretty good, though. Keep that in mind. So Dodger stacks are okay, but I'm not flipping out. They're one of the hottest offenses in baseball. So saying that going for the Dodgers ain't exactly a hot take, right? Aaron Sanchez is against Miami. Last year, we don't have any stats for him, so let's look and see how he's doing this year. Aaron Sanchez this year has a 4.28 xFIP at the moment, a 57.8% ground ball rate, which is good. That's what he's always kind of been. 10.4% swing and strike rate is what it is. Lefties have gotten the better of him of the two. Hard contact rate is greater to righties. His ground ball rates are elite, man, even to lefties. But I guess for strikeouts, he's had more success striking out righties, which makes more sense. He's playing a Marlins offense that has hit lefties really well, but has not hit righties very well at all. Now, they're not like a super heavy strikeout team at the moment, but they're not hitting well either. They actually do have decent fly ball and line drive rates. The ground ball rates aren't that bad, but Sanchez can obviously change that. This game is in San Francisco, so it's still a massive park, one of the better pitching parks in the game. I think we could consider Sanchez, man. With those kind of ground ball rates, I don't think it's a lock by any means, but I think we can consider him. I think the price is reasonable. Let's see how long he's pitched in these games and make sure that he's not on any kind of limitation. So 74 the first game, 66 the second, 82 against Miami. He just played Miami. 82 pitches, 5 Ks through 4 2/3. That's one thing I don't typically love. I don't love when a pitcher sees a team, so close together. These guys played on the 17th. Yeah, and the reason I don't like that is because, the thing about when hitters see somebody 3 times through the order, like, you really got to change your approach. You can't just do the same shit, same sequence, because they got film on that now. They're looking for that now, of what he did in this situation, what he did in that situation. So that part I don't love. But it is still a really good park for pitching. And we are hurting for pitchers. So I think he's cheap enough to take a shot on. Probably more of a DraftKings deal, right? On FanDuel, I feel like I'm sacrificing some ceiling. Then again, I mean, how many pitchers besides Buehler have ceiling? It just, kind of sets up for, how popular Buehler should be today, right? Justin Dunn going up against the Red Sox. So Justin Dunn was an example of someone last year who, you can make an argument that he was very lucky. A 4.34 ERA, which isn't great, but it's not terrible, right? But a 6.23 xFIP last year. 179 BABIP with a 47% flat ball rate. The Red Sox look really good today. They look like a really good stack today. I mean, everything kind of lines up. So far this season, Dunn has a 8.76 xFIP, a 13.6% K rate, a 5.4% swing and strike rate. 50% fly ball rate to righties, and we're talking about minuscule samples. He hasn't really been hit hard, which could be why his BABIP is currently .091, by the way. But he's playing a Red Sox offense. I understand the Red Sox aren't who they used to be, but they're still a pretty good offense. They still got good players, man. I think Verdugo's a decent player, but regardless of that, the main three, and Martinez, Bogarts, and Devers, those are some good MLB hitters right there, right? So Red Sox, maybe they're the chalk. After looking at this, they'll probably be the chalk. I don't really see. I mean, it's the highest total on the board. I would assume that they have the highest implied total, run total on the board. I'm going to check that out right now. We got the highest implied, 5.4. Yeah, so here's your chalk right here. I would say in terms of popularity, I expect the Red Sox to be popular, followed by the Mets-Cubs game. And then, it'll do whatever from there. But I think that's really what we're looking at as far as offensive chalk stacks go. But yeah, the Red Sox look good. It's hard to really make an argument against them. Dunn's numbers are just not good. It's just they're really bad. Shouldn't be in the league bad. And then we get the Mariners bullpen after that. I mean, this guy's a career fly ball guy, hard contact guy. I don't know. I think Boston's sending some balls out tonight. You know what I mean? Solid pick says anytime the Dodgers aren't chalk, you got to go on them. Yeah, man. No, I hear you. I hear you on that. It's, you get an opportunity that they're not chalk. I hear that. Joey Lucchesi of my New York Mets. Going up against the Cubs. Cubs beat up Peterson last night. I do think Lucchesi is a better pitcher than Peterson. I don't think that's even a thing. Lucchesi 6,500 on DraftKings. Problem with Lucchesi is they've been babying him a little bit. So he pitched on April 7th through 36 pitches, I believe, out of the bullpen. Then he went into Coors, and I think he did start, but it was 10 days later, and he threw 55 pitches. So I don't see him throwing more than 65, 75 pitches today. I just don't see them. It's going to be a gradual increase. I do think Lucchesi is a pretty decent pitcher, and even now, he's got a 5.4 ERA, but even now, if you look at his current 2021 numbers based off of the 2 starts he's had, which again is a very small sample, but just based off it, 3.38 xFIP, 28.6% strikeout rate, which is probably a little high for him, 13.2% K rate, and the majority of his innings so far this year came in Coors. So I do think that Lucchesi overall is an interesting pitcher, and I'm curious to see where his role goes with the Mets. I think that we could afford him a spot in the rotation, at least until Thor comes back right now, but they're going to have to build him up. So the Cubs, obviously their numbers right now against lefties are through the roof because they just beat up on Peterson pretty good last night. But last year they were really, really bad against lefties. They were fucking horrendous against them. They struck out a lot. You had one player with an ISO over 200, and that player wasn't on the team last year. It was Jason Marisnick. So yeah, just nothing too fancy. They were really bad against lefties last year, but we didn't really expect them to be. There's really no reason they should have been. Javi Baez and Chris Bryant, Contreras, they have enough right-handed power. So I think that the Cubs are in play. I think the Cubs will be popular after what they did yesterday. I lean more towards the Mets side. And there's definitely a world where this game just sucks, right? This is baseball. And there's definitely a world where this game kind of just sucks. Trevor Williams, Joey Lucchesi, these are pitchers that have a little more talent than I think what we saw last night. Well, Davies and Williams are comparable, I think. But anyway, I wouldn't mind. I mean, I'm telling you right now, I would pitch Lucchesi. Only thing I'm worried about, not on FanDuel, no way. Quality starts probably not on the table because of the pitch count. But on DraftKings at 6,500, man, if he could rack up some Ks, if I think he's gonna get, if I really thought he was gonna get 75 pitches, if I feel that way, I'll write him up. Daniel Castano of Miami. Take a quick look at what he's doing. I don't know how big these samples are. Yeah, man. Shit. This is another guy, man. Shit. Ooh. This guy. Okay. I'm pretty sure this is the mother sucker that burned me last time. Yeah. His only start this year came against the Giants. No Ks, 5 innings, 74 pitches, 1 earned run. I got burnt. I've been getting burnt playing the Giants against lefties all season. It's early season. I'm exaggerating. But still, I've been burnt. This park sucks. We got winds blowing out, but this park, from what I understand, is designed to kind of limit how effective the wind is, right? Something about the architecture. I mean, I'm going to take some shots on large slates and just went down with them. So, I'm going to take some shots with them on a big slate, right? I mean, last year we saw this guy didn't look very good. This year so far, and the one started not 1K against these guys. I mean, Wilmer Flores, Buster Posey's been playing better. Darren Ruff, these are all guys like Evan Longoria. These are all guys that can match lefties. So if you don't think I'm going to try not to attack this asshole one more time, well, no, maybe more than one more time, I'm going to. I'm going to have some Giant stacks tonight. I will. Let's recap. So looking at this, I think the chalk pitcher is going to be Walker Buehler, right? Making the Padres one of the more interesting leverage stacks. I think in terms of the second chalk pitcher, I think on FanDuel, maybe it'll be Javier. On DraftKings, I'm thinking it might end up being Nick Pivetta at this moment. Making Seattle interesting on DraftKings, making the Angels kind of interesting on FanDuel, right? And we got Alex Cobb as a wild card. I really don't know how people are going to react to that. Because on the one hand, it's Alex Cobb. On the other hand, he is playing an Astros team that's tough to strike out. So he's looked really good this year, right? How many people even know that? I think that the Boston Red Sox offense is going to be, I said that just like a Boston dude. It wasn't even on purpose. It's just how it came out. The Boston Red Sox, I don't know. I think the Red Sox will be the chalk offense. They should be the chalk offense against Dunn. And then I think we're going to see ownership in the Mets-Cubs game. I think more people will be likely to play the Cubs because of what they did yesterday. So I think they'll be the second highest owned, probably the Mets third. And then, as far as low-owned stacks interest me, I think that the Seattle Mariners are very interesting in that park. And like I said, man, I think that the Giants against this Castano dude, late night hammer action, you better believe I'm getting some of that. So where I'm kind of stuck more is the pitching. Do I bite the bullet with Walker Buehler and just suck it up? No, he's going to be crazy projected. Sean V says it's Pivetta, 40% on DraftKings as of now. I mean, that makes me really like the fucking Mariners. I can tell you that. I learned my lesson yesterday. If I had even a little more, even 10% more, Malley, who again he was about 50% on, I was about at 20%, right? So went underweight because I'm just thinking he's chalk as fuck. So went underweight, and if I would have had 10 more percent because I had like 10% cup stacks, like I would have won some good money. Would have, could have, should have, but didn't. So the question is, what do I do today? Now, on the one hand, people may be like, oh, you got to learn from what you did, learn where you went wrong, make the right move. On the other hand, no two slates are ever the same, right? It's rare. So that's really something that I got to weigh out, that I got to go through and figure out. Shout out to Sean V for his little input in the chat here. If it's Pivetta, that makes the Mariners very interesting as leverage stack. Vetty. Is today a day where we're really going to end up pitching like Alex Cobb? Like a good amount? Like, am I going to be playing like Alex Cobb and Aaron Sanchez type shit? I don't know. We'll have to see. But Buehler's a chalk pitcher. I mean, he's on a tier of his own relative to these rest of these. We don't have any good pitchers on the slate. So compared to the rest of the guys, he's kind of on a tier of his own. Anyway, Nation, I appreciate y'all hanging out with me. Be on the lookout for the article, Paulie D's Dirt Sheet. We got NBA tonight as well. All good shit happening. Projections are posted at WiseTake.com already. And again, man, starting next week, we're going to bump up the slack. Be more involved. Myself and Paulie try to get in there at least Monday through Friday during the week while we're building teams to help answer questions and help like share our thoughts and update our written content. Because a lot of times with NBA, the written content doesn't get a chance to get updated once the show starts. So a lot of cool things going down. Go check us out. Hit the like button on your way out. Please share the show. Much appreciated for myself, the entire WiseTake Nation. As always, good luck.